After all these years, it's finally happened. The Five Nights at Freddy's movie released, and I watched it. And it is good. Especially if you're a FNAF fan, though. If you're not, most of what's happening won't hit as hard. You'd probably rate it like a 5 out of 10. Okay, fine. Okay. After all these years, it's finally happened. The Five Nights at Freddy's movie released, and I watched it, and it is good. Especially if you're a FNAF fan, though. If you're not, most of what's happening won't hit as hard, and you'll probably rate it like a 5 out of 10. That isn't to say that this movie is spotless. Oh, no. It definitely has a few wrinkles that desperately need to be ironed out in the later movies. But we'll get to that later. Let's talk about the positives first. Spoilers ahead, by the way. The acting from everybody is really, really good. Josh Hutcherson is just so good with emotions. He's so convincing in his portrayal of a broken, traumatized man. Elizabeth Lail does pretty good, too. She has really good chemistry with Mike, which I like. And just overall, everybody does really well with what they have. Speaking of doing well, the animatronics and the pizzeria are just top-notch. Sure, there are a few very slight inconsistencies, such as Bonnie's fur being purple in the games, not blue, but overall, the animatronics feel like they were plucked straight from the games. I also love the story. I'm so happy it isn't dragged down by any sci-fi nonsense like the modern games. Just a simple story of loss, tragedy, and ghosts. Unfortunately, the FNAF movie also has a fair share of problems that really weigh down the final product. First, now please don't roll your eyes at me on this. The movie isn't really that scary. I mean, with a movie based off of a game like FNAF, a horror game, you'd expect there to be like tons of jump scares and just overall creepy stuff, right? Well, no, not really. There's only like 3 jump scares in the entire movie, which are ruined anyways because they're all shown off in the trailer, so we always know exactly what's happening, or what's coming. The atmosphere also just doesn't really feel scary, you know, and that's like, the atmosphere is like 90% of a horror movie. I was hoping they'd go for a darker, grittier style like FNAF 1 did, but nope. Personally, I feel like the movie is at its best when it does try to be scary, and usually it succeeds pretty well at that. But still, I was hoping for a much more dark and oppressive atmosphere, not a bright and colorful, sometimes scary atmosphere like the one we have now. And that's what makes good horror, the atmosphere, the build-up. But it's just simply not there. You know, the movie's writing also feels conflicting at times, too. I mean, there's a scene where Freddy and the gang are building a fort with Mike, Abby, and Vanessa, and, you know, everything's peachy, but then Abby gets shocked from trying to play Bonnie's guitar. After that happens, Vanessa goes from being like, hooray, I love this joint, I love you, Mike, and I want to give you a big fat kiss on the lips, too. Don't come here ever again or I'll shoot you. It just feels very forced and kind of unfinished, honestly. It feels like there's some scenes missing that would have built up to this properly. Overall, just TLDR, the tone is really inconsistent. On one hand, it's being kind of creepy and dark, which I, again, think it really excels at that. But then just one scene later, they're all hugging and playing with a little kid. And please, movies, I don't know what it is, but stop doing these stupid little smug quips every 5 minutes. Mike and Abby will have just dodged a man-eating death machine and then say something that completely conflicts with the tone of the scene. Like what is this? Is this like a Marvel movie or something? It just feels so out of place with what would otherwise be a pretty tense scene, and it just comes off as cheesy, campy, and not scary. Oh, speaking of not scary, second gripe. Again, don't roll your eyes. But I think the animatronics should have been less expressive. Honestly, the reddish, yellowish, orangish eyes have grown on me. I mean, I still would have preferred anything else, but I'm not really that butthurt about it anymore. What I am butthurt about, though, is how expressive the animatronics are. Listen, I know that the interpretation now is that the children emote through eye movement, and that honestly has its upsides, you know, such as it being easier for Abby to put her trust in them so that they can stuff her into a suit. But other times, such as whenever they're hurting somebody, their angry eyebrows just come off as just so cheesy and silly to me. Again, it might just be me, but I think them just staring at you with no emotion at all would have been creepier than them looking like they're high on weed and angry. You know, it's funny. The ghost children actually scare me more than the animatronics. I'm dead serious, dude. The kids who play the dead children should get a raise. And honestly, I'm actually really happy that I'm relieved that they actually went with the animatronics being antagonists in the movie. You know. Yeah. Alrighty. Now that we've got that out of the way, I've saved my best critique for last. I don't like how William Afton is treated. I mean, don't get me wrong, Matthew Lillard is great in the role. He's an unsuspecting, seemingly normal and friendly, goofy, bubbly guy, while also being an evil psycho when he reveals himself at the end of the movie. In fact, one thing that I love about him is that he doesn't have a British accent like he does in the games. Yeah, that's pretty much the only good thing that Security Breach has retconned. Afton being British always kind of put me off, mostly because an evil villain with a British accent is a pretty obnoxious and overdone cliche at this point. And besides, having the accent would go against what makes William Afton work. He's an expert at staying low, pretending to be an ordinary, run-of-the-mill guy that you just meet on the street. You'd glance at him and wouldn't think twice of. Well, in reality, he's actually a heartless killer. I also don't like how little screen time he's given. When it's revealed that, surprise, surprise, William Afton was the killer, it just kind of rubs me the wrong way. He doesn't feel properly built up as a villain. And most people who are watching the movie would just decide to ignore it, because most people who are watching the FNAF movie know about Afton, what he likes, who he hates, his motivations, everything. They just know the character. But if you've never seen anything FNAF related before, the big reveal will kind of just fall flat because Afton only shows up for like 5 minutes at the start of the movie. I personally would have sprinkled more scenes with him in it, such as, I don't know, him calling up on Mike every once in a while to see how he's doing, which would allow for more fan service if he started off the phone call with, "Hello? Hello?" You know, oh man, I wish they did that. You know, maybe also have scenes of him between nights browsing through drawers that holds hints for who he really is. Make him have flashbacks of some kind. I don't know. I just think that Afton was pretty undercooked as an antagonist. Also, I think his lines are kinda over the top sometimes. Like, I get that he has a very theatrical and egotistical personality, but I honestly think him shouting,
"I always come back,"
while he's literally on the brink of death is kinda silly. Anyway, that's my take on the movie. Like and subscribe if you feel like it. If you don't like something in this video, you are free to downvote, or dislike and comment how much of a stupid loser I am. See ya.